I never had a reason to doubt her. Not once. When Lisa told me she wanted to take evening classes to get a certification that would help her move up at work, I was proud of her. She had been stuck in the same position for years, frustrated about being passed over for promotions. This was her way of taking control. And like a supportive husband, I encouraged her. At first, everything seemed fine. She'd come home late, exhausted but excited. She'd tell me about what she learned, how competitive the job market was, how this new certification would give her an edge. But then, things started to shift. Lisa started coming home with a different kind of energy, bubbly, almost glowing. She'd be in a good mood, smiling at her phone, talking about some group project she was working on. I was happy for her at first, but something didn't sit right. When I asked about her classmates, she got weirdly vague. "Oh, just some people from different fields," she'd say, quickly changing the subject. I brushed it off. Maybe I was overthinking. But then she started being on her phone constantly, texting at odd hours, always with that little smirk on her face. One night, I casually asked if I could come pick her up from class and meet her group. Her reaction? Defensive as hell. "Oh, come on, Mark. That's weird. I don't need a chaperone." A chaperone? I wasn't asking to babysit her. I was asking to meet the people she spent so many nights with. But I let it go again. Then came the night I found the first real clue. Lisa had left her work bag in the living room, and as I was moving it off the couch, a folded piece of paper slipped out. I picked it up without thinking. It was a note, handwritten, soft curves of ink that weren't hers. "Can't wait to see you tonight. You always make class worth it." I swear, I felt my stomach drop right out of my body. I didn't confront her immediately, not because I was afraid, but because I needed to see it for myself. If I accused her without proof, she'd just spin it, gaslight me, make me feel like an insecure husband. So I waited. A few nights later, I drove to her campus, parking down the street where she wouldn't see me. Class was supposed to let out at 9:30, but at 9:15, I saw her walk out, laughing, her arm brushing against some guys as they walked side by side. I followed at a distance, heart pounding in my chest. They walked to a small coffee shop nearby, sat down at a table in the corner. Close. Too close. Her body was angled toward him. Her face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in years. He leaned in, murmuring something that made her bite her lip, eyes sparkling. And then, the final blow. Her hand resting lightly on his thigh. That was it. I pulled out my phone and snapped a few photos. Not because I needed them for myself. I already knew the truth. But because I wanted her to see it, undeniable and raw, when I confronted her. I could have stormed in right then and there. Could have flipped the table. Could have made a scene. But I didn't. No. I wanted her to sit in her little fantasy for just a bit longer. Because the moment she walked through that door at home, her perfect little lie was going to come crashing down. I sat there in my truck, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. My breath was steady, but my blood was boiling. I had seen enough. There was no mistaking it. That wasn't some harmless study session. That wasn't just a friendly classmate. That was my wife, giggling like a schoolgirl, touching another man's leg in the dim glow of a coffee shop. I stared at the pictures on my phone, each one a punch to the gut. Proof. Undeniable proof. But what really got me? The way she looked at him. I knew that look. That was the way she used to look at me. I could have stormed in there, could have thrown the phone in her face and demanded answers. But no, that would have given her an out. An excuse to turn it around on me, claim I was being irrational or jealous. Not this time. I drove home instead, running through every possible way I could handle this. By the time I parked in our driveway, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Lisa walked in an hour later, smiling like she had just had the best night of her life. "Hey, babe," she chirped, setting her bag down. "You still up?" "Yeah," I said, my voice flat. I was sitting on the couch, phone in hand, waiting. She walked over, leaned down, and kissed my cheek. I let her. Let her act like she hadn't just spent the last hour in some other guy's personal space. How was class? I asked. She stretched, pretending to be tired. Ugh, exhausting. The group project is killing me. Group project. Right. I glanced at my phone, flicking to the first photo. Then, I turned the screen toward her. Her face went pale. Funny, I said, because this doesn't look like a group project to me. She stared at the image. Her, sitting across from him, her hand resting on his leg like it belonged there. I watched her throat bob as she swallowed hard. Then, like clockwork, the excuses started. Mark, this isn't what it looks like. I laughed. Actually laughed. Really? Because it looks like you're on a date with some guy while I'm sitting at home like an idiot, believing you're out improving your career. She shook her head, hands up like she could physically push away the evidence. No, it's not like that. He's just a classmate. We were studying, and I cut her off. Studying what? Each other's body language? Her mouth opened, then closed. She had nothing. I stood up, towering over her. How long? Lisa blinked, like she didn't understand the question. How long? My voice was deadly calm. She shifted, arms crossing. Mark, I swear, it's nothing serious. Wrong answer. I threw my phone onto the couch and stepped closer. That's not what I asked. Silence. I clenched my jaw, my patience hanging by a thread. How long have you been lying to me, Lisa? She exhaled shakily, rubbing her forehead. A couple of weeks. Lies. You expect me to believe that? You don't just suddenly start meeting up for coffee and touching some guy's leg out of nowhere. Her lips trembled, and for a second, I thought she was going to cry. But I wasn't falling for that. Not this time. I didn't mean for it to happen, she whispered. I let out a sharp breath. Oh, spare me. You didn't mean for it to happen? What does that even mean? You accidentally walked into a coffee shop, accidentally flirted with him, accidentally put your hand on his leg? Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't care. You want to be with him? I asked, my voice cold. She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. I felt something snap inside me. You know what? Don't answer that. I'm done. Her eyes widened. Wait, Mark. But I was already walking away. Because if she couldn't even answer that question, then she already had her answer. And so did I. I walked straight to the bedroom, grabbed a duffel bag, and started throwing clothes into it. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't planning. I was just done. Lisa followed me, voice panicked. Mark, please stop. Let's talk about this. I zipped the bag shut. Talk about what, Lisa? How you've been sneaking around behind my back. How you've been touching another man like you used to touch me. She stepped in front of me, blocking the doorway, tears streaming down her face. It wasn't serious, I swear. It was just, I got caught up in it, okay? But it doesn't mean anything. I tilted my head, staring at her like she was a stranger. Doesn't mean anything? I echoed. So you threw away our marriage over something that doesn't mean anything? Her lip quivered. No, I mean. I shook my head, laughing bitterly. Jesus Christ, Lisa. You can't even spin this into a decent excuse, can you? She grabbed my arm, desperation in her grip. Please, don't do this. I love you, Mark. I wrenched my arm away. No, Lisa. You love the comfort. You love the security. But you sure as hell don't love me, because people don't do this to the ones they love. Her sobs grew louder, but I didn't care. I slung the duffel bag over my shoulder and walked past her. And then, are you seriously leaving over one mistake? She shrieked, the desperation turning into something uglier. Are you that weak? That made me stop. Slowly, I turned to face her. Weak. My voice was quiet. Dangerous. Her arms were crossed now, anger flashing through her tears. Yeah, running away instead of working through this. People make mistakes, Mark. But no, you're just gonna pack a bag and run? That's pathetic. I took a deep breath, gripping the strap of my bag so I didn't put my fist through the damn wall. You know what's pathetic? I said, stepping closer. Pathetic is sneaking around like a coward instead of admitting you're unhappy. Pathetic is letting another man put his hands on you while your husband is at home thinking you're working hard for your future. Pathetic is standing here, crying, trying to guilt me into staying when you should be begging for forgiveness. Her breath hitched. I leaned in just a little, my voice dropping low. You lost me, Lisa. The second you put your hands on him, you lost me. I turned and walked toward the door, but before I could reach it, she threw her final card. Mark, wait, she sobbed. It wasn't just me. I froze. Slowly, I turned my head. What did you just say? She was breathing hard, her hands trembling. He came on to me first, she stammered. He was persistent. I tried to resist, but I closed my eyes and exhaled through my nose. Lisa, I said, my voice terrifyingly calm. Are you seriously trying to say you were pressured into cheating? She swallowed. I'm just saying it wasn't all my fault. And there it was. The final, pathetic attempt to shift the blame. I stared at her for a long moment, taking in every inch of the woman I thought I knew. The woman who once promised to be faithful, to be honest, to be mine. And then, without another word, I walked out the door. As I stepped outside into the cool night air, I felt something strange. Relief. Because I wasn't the fool in this situation anymore. She was. I didn't look back. I didn't stop. I didn't hesitate. I walked straight to my truck, threw the duffel bag in the back seat, and climbed in. My hands gripped the steering wheel as I sat there for a moment, breathing, letting the weight of it all settle in. And then, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. Lisa. Declined. A second later, another call, then a text. Mark, please. Come back inside. Let's just talk. Then another. I'm sorry. Okay? I messed up. But you can't just throw everything away. I let out a breath and set the phone face down. She was scrambling now, desperate to fix the mess she made. But there was nothing to fix. I started the engine and pulled out of the driveway. I didn't know where I was going at first. Just drove. The night stretched around me, the road empty, the streetlights passing like slow heartbeats. My mind was racing, but at the same time, I felt calm. A kind of eerie, detached calm. Like I had just walked out of a burning building and was watching it crumble in the rearview mirror. I ended up at a bar. Not my usual place, just some random dive on the edge of town. It was dim, quiet, perfect. I took a seat at the bar and ordered a whiskey. Neat. The first sip burned. The second settled. I stared at the amber liquid, my mind flickering back to the past few months, replaying every moment where I had ignored the signs. The late nights. The sudden happiness. The way she pulled away when I tried to be affectionate. I should have seen it sooner. But that's the thing about betrayal. It's never loud. It creeps in quietly, a whisper in the dark, until it's too late. Halfway through my drink, my phone buzzed again. I almost ignored it, but something told me to check. Not Lisa this time. A buddy of mine, Matt. Dude, call me. Now. I frowned. Matt and I hadn't talked in a while. Not because of any issues, just life pulling us in different directions. But something about the urgency in his text made my gut tighten. I dialed his number. He picked up on the first ring. Mark, he said, his voice low. Where are you right now? Out, I said. Why? There was a pause. Then, bro, I wasn't sure if I should tell you this, but I just saw Lisa. She's at O'Malley's. My grip on the glass tightened. O'Malley's. Another bar. A place we used to go together. And? I asked. My voice clipped. And she's with some dude, Matt said carefully. They're in a booth. Real close. Looks like they're having a deep talk. I exhaled through my nose, my pulse thrumming. What does he look like? I asked, already knowing the answer. Brown hair, kinda tall, glasses, Matt said. Looked like some office-type dude. Him. The guy from the coffee shop. Lisa hadn't even waited a full 2 hours before running to him. Before crying to me about mistakes and love and not wanting to lose me, only to run straight into his arms the second I was out the door. A slow, bitter chuckle left my lips. Mark. Matt asked, You good? Yeah, I said, finishing my drink in one swallow. I'm good. I didn't go to O'Malley's. I didn't need to. I had all the answers I needed. Instead, I made one last stop, home. The house was dark when I pulled up. I walked inside, straight to the bedroom, and grabbed a few more of my things. My laptop, my important documents. I wasn't coming back, and before I left, I pulled my wedding ring off my finger and set it on the kitchen counter. A symbol of what once was. A reminder of what would never be again. I sent Lisa one final text. I'll have the divorce papers sent over soon. Don't contact me again. Then, I blocked her number. I walked out, locking the door behind me, and didn't look back. Because I was finally free.